We are here simply to, let the government know that we cannot take it anymore. When this government came on board, they said it's a renewed hope. But the mass of our people can see now that it's nothing but renewed suffering.
Must go! Must go! Must go! Must go!
The recent End Bad Governance protest in Nigeria has drawn comparison with other mass actions and protests in Nigeria since the colonial era. While some of these protests have led to change in government policies and actions, others have not yielded any result. In this edition of Hisple Media, I recount the history of rebellion and change in Nigeria. Please join me as we dive into the details. Gabriel here. We begin with the Aba Women Revolt of 1929. In 1929, women in the eastern region of colonial Nigeria stood their grounds and protested against unbearable tax levy imposed by the colonial government. The protest heightened in November 1929 when thousands of women congregated at the Native Administration Center in Calabar and Owerri, as well as other smaller towns in the eastern region. Prior to this time, protest of this kind was unheard of. As a result of these protests, many women were assaulted, beaten, and arrested. But guys, before we continue, kindly hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel. A more worrisome turn of events happened at Opobo River Bank, a short distance from Ikorabasi in today's Akwa Ibom State, when a number of protesting women were murdered. As soon as the protest started, news got to Aba on the 6th of December 1929. It was while in Aba that the protest got its name, Aba Women's Riot. Simultaneously, the entire eastern region was engulfed by protests ably led by women. The Aba Women's Rebellion prompted colonial authorities to drop their plans to impose a tax on women and to curb the power of the warrant chiefs. The women's uprising is seen as the first major challenge to British colonial authority in Nigeria and West Africa during the colonial period. It was an eye-opener for others and was followed by Abeokuta Ladies' Revolt almost 2 decades later. In mid-summer of October 1946, the Abeokuta Ladies Club, under the leadership of Madam Olufemilayo Ransom Kuti, submitted a list of demands to the Alake of Igbaland, Oba Sir Ladapo Ademola II. One of their demands was the abolition of tax on women in Abeokuta, among other issues around their welfare. Their demands were ignored. Madam Ransom Kuti was arrested and fined £3,000 or risks going to prison. But this did not deter her. On November 29, 1947, she led a protest of about 10,000 women to the palace of the Alake of Igbaland. They camped around the palace for more than 2 days, sleeping, cooking, and conducting all their affairs around the palace grounds. The pressure was so huge on the colonial government and led to the abolition of the tax laws. The Alake of Igbaland also abdicated the throne on the 3rd of January 1949 owing to the protest. The success of the Igba Women's Revolt was motivated by the teachings of one woman named Alimutu Parewura. General Olusegun Obasanjo's military regime of 1976 to 1979 witnessed a deadly protest after it was announced that students would begin to pay extra charges. The announcement was made by Dr. Jibril Aminu, the then Secretary of the Nigerian Universities Commission (NUC). He cited high cost of living in the country as a reason for the increment. The Nigerian University Commission stated that although tuition fee was to remain free for all undergraduate, hostel fees would be increased to 90 naira per student per session of 36 weeks or 30 naira per student in a session of 3 terms. The cost of meal tickets also rose from 1 naira 50 kobo to 2 naira. But the students were not comfortable with this increment. Segun Okeowo was the president of the National Union of Nigerian Students (NUNS) at the time. He was a student at the University of Lagos and felt bitter about this news. He took steps to change the decision as it was not pleasant at all to the students. The agitated students held meetings in Ilorin, Maiduguri and Calabar, seeking to bring the regime to rescind the decision. But this was to no avail. After holding several meetings without success, they decided to take the bold step of challenging the military regime on the increment. The then Minister of Education, Colonel Amadou Ali, was fingered as being responsible for the increment. Even though he denied responsibility and shifted the blame to the Supreme Military Council, the student called for his removal from office. The chant, "Ali must go," hence filled the air. The protest broke out on the 17th of April 1978, but nothing was done to address the students' demands. 3 universities were shut indefinitely and the association was banned. There was also widespread looting and crisis throughout the country. Despite the violence and bloodshed, the increment was not reversed, but the Ali Must Go protest sent a message to the government that Nigerian students were capable of calling for a change. The protest also helped to further mainstream students' unionism. Okoyowo was, however, expelled from the University of Lagos for the role he played in a protest. But he would later graduate from the University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, 2 years later, with a bachelor's degree in education. Okoyowo died on January 28, 2014 at the age of 73. But after the Ali Must Go protest, there came the Anti-SAR protest of 1989. The Anti-SAR protests were a series of violent anti-government protests that occurred throughout Nigeria between May and June 1989. The protesters included students, non-students, employed workers, the unemployed, school children, as well as hoodlums. The protest commenced on the 24th of May 1989. In 1996, the International Monetary Fund (IMF) had convinced the Nigerian government of General Ibrahim Babangida to adopt the Structural Adjustment Program (SAP) as a precondition to access the IMF loans. The government implemented the policy in 1986 in an attempt to stop the effect of falling oil prices and foster development of local industries. The policy also aimed at devaluing the naira, reducing welfare spending, mass retrenchment, and curbing corruptions. These measures were to ensure that Nigeria qualified for IMF-issued loans. On the 10th of April 1988, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) announced an increase in the cost of petroleum products. But the increment led to increase in food prices and transportation costs. In response, a peaceful protest was held at the University of Jos, but the protest eventually snowballed beyond the student community and resulted in widespread destruction of state-owned property. The protest also resulted in the death of 2 people in Benin, while dozens of people were killed in Lagos. In the aftermath of the riots, the leader of the National Association of Nigerian Students, Lukman Salilu Muhammad, a final year student of Ahmadu Bello University, Abu Zaria, was arrested and detained, while about 13 universities were closed. The June 12 protest against the military regime of General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida had scores of people killed, including students. Following the annulment of June 12 presidential election in 1993, there were a series of violent protests in the southwest region. The protests erupted in early July after the announcement was made. It is estimated that security forces had killed over 100 people while trying to quell the protests. In the aftermath of the election, the government proscribed or shut down media houses and arrested journalists. The government also issued a decree preventing court cases on the annulled election and disbanded the electoral body, NEC. But Nigerians were not deterred. However, the resulting crisis forced General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida to step aside and initiated the unconstitutional interim national government headed by Chief Ernest Shinekon. But this agitation would continue until General Sani Abacha took over the reign of power. However, despite the protests, Abiola's mandate was not restored. Rather, he was arrested in 1994 and died in prison about 4 years later in 1998. Occupy Nigeria was a socio-political protest movement that began in Nigeria on Monday, 2nd January 2012 in response to the fuel subsidy removal by the federal government of President Goodluck Jonathan on Sunday, January 1st, 2012. Protests took place across the country, including in the cities of Kano, Surulere and Ojota, which are part of metropolitan Lagos, Abuja, Minna, and at the Nigerian High Commission in London. The protest was characterized by civil disobedience, civil resistance, strike actions, demonstrations, and online activism. The use of social media services such as Twitter and Facebook were a prominent feature of the protest. Occupy Nigeria protest forced the government to reverse the decision to remove the subsidy. However, in the years that followed, particularly in 2015, President Goodluck Jonathan was defeated in the polls, and the new government of former President Muhammadu Buhari was able to remove the subsidy without much resistance. The Buhari administration increased fuel prices from around 87 naira to 145 naira with little or no resistance. It is believed that most Nigerians started realizing the danger of fuel subsidy regime. The endsars protest, widely written as #endsars, was a decentralized social movement and series of mass protests against police brutality in Nigeria. The protest occurred in 2020. The protest slogan called for the disbandment of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, a notorious unit of the Nigerian police known for its long record of abuse against Nigerian citizens. The protest originated from an online campaign on X, formerly known as Twitter, in 2017, using the #endsars. The movement experienced a resurgence in October 2020 following further revelation of abuses by the police unit. Mass demonstrations were held across major cities in Nigeria, along with widespread outrage on social media platforms. Solidarity protests and demonstrations by Nigerians in the diaspora and sympathizers also occurred in many major cities around the world. Within a few days of the protest, on October 11, 2020, the Nigerian police force announced the dissolution of the SARS unit with immediate effect. The move was widely perceived as a triumph for the protesters. However, it was noted in many quarters that similar announcements had been made in recent years to placate the public without the unit actually being disbanded. So, the protest continued accordingly, and the Nigerian government maintained a pattern of violent repression, including the killing of demonstrators. On the 28th of October 2020, the military was said to have fired live ammunition at protesters at Loki Toll Gate in Lagos, killing a good number of people. Though the government denied this claim, a number of independent investigations have proven that security forces actually used live ammunition on protesters. But that was not the end of protest in Nigeria. Nigeria is currently grappling with growing economic hardship, hunger and high cost of living, leading to spontaneous protests across the country. Protesters are calling for an end to bad governance in the country. They are also calling on government to reduce fuel prices, which has affected transportation costs and other socio-economic livelihood of the people. The protest took place between August 1st and 10th, 2024 and turned violent after Nigerian security agencies attempted to suppress the protest. Though the protest arose in response to hunger and economic hardship in the country, the government seemed to blame it on the opposition parties. Mr. Peter Obi of the Labour Party was fingered by government spokesperson Mr. Bayo Onanuga in a post on his verified X handle. However, experts have linked the crisis to the implementation of economic reforms, particularly the removal of fuel subsidy and the devaluation of the naira under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. A number of Nigerians were killed in Borno, Kano, Jigawa, and Niger states, and some others injured or arrested. Ultimately, the government have not done anything to ameliorate the suffering of the people. So far, it can be concluded that the protests have not yielded any result or any change. Don't forget to hit the like button on this video and subscribe to Hisple Media, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Peace.